welcome to today's episode of Genealogy Drop-In. I'm Ashley, I work at the South Carolina room, and today I have as my co-host Hillary, who also works with me in the South Carolina room. So we're just going to go ahead and jump in with a question that we get sometimes and questions that we think about ourselves when we're considering doing our own research. So Hillary, you have a topic that you've been thinking about recently.
Yes. So a lot of times when people are beginning their genealogy research, we suggest to them to begin asking their family members questions, and we suggest to start with your family members. So I've been thinking about talking to my grandma, and of course, the general information I want to get from her is when was she born, her siblings' names, when were they born, who she was married to, dates and names. But I was thinking that there's probably more information that I will want later on in life that I will wish that I had asked her. And I'm just trying to figure out now what I should be asking in addition to the basics.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think about it like I have several grandparents and older relatives who've passed on, and I think about what questions do I wish I'd had a chance to ask them. So I take a somewhat of a chronological approach to this. So starting from the earliest part of their life and then moving forward. So the first things they're probably going to think about from their young life, they're going to think about their immediate family, parents, and any siblings. So any information or stories that they have about their parents, how their parents met, that would be a wonderful story if they know it. Any fun stories about their siblings growing up. A lot of times the information that we get about people is from obituaries, and we get lots of stories about their adult life. So it's really fun to get stories about people when they were very young or children. Ask them about their school memories. Where did they go to school? What kinds of things did they learn about? What was their favorite thing? What didn't they like? Anything that they remember particularly about their school, where it was located, if they stayed in the same school for a number of years, or if the building, if they moved buildings or anything like that. And as they got older, they probably interacted with their older relatives a little bit more. So you can ask about what they remember about their parents and grandparents, older cousins, aunts and uncles, and stories about them that you may not be able to get from any of the normal history resources. Another good question is to find out about places they've lived. Did they grow up in one house? Did they move around a little bit? If they remember addresses, that is fantastic. You can do comparisons, especially if they have a picture of a house that they grew up in. You can do a Google image search, or if you're in the area, you can go by and see what it looks like now. And get an idea of where they grew up and where they lived over time. And then one of the most important things you can do is if they have pictures, if they have photo albums, framed photos, sit down with them and ask them to go through with you and identify everybody in every picture, anybody and everybody that they can remember. And as you're going through it, write it down so that you're not going to have to go back later and try to remember, okay, was this, Great Aunt Betty, or was this Grandma Joe? You have that information so that when those photo albums are eventually passed on, you know exactly who's who. So those are the top questions that I wish I had been able to ask. So that's what I recommend to people to ask their relatives.
Nice. As you were going through that, I was kind of thinking it might be a good idea to not only just like write down the information, like you said, but also to record some of it, to kind of have like an oral history part of it as well. And then I think it would be nice to kind of go back and listen to that, because my grandma, she leaves me voicemails a lot, and they're always so sweet. And I think that's kind of something that I want to record and save for later. So I think additionally, it would be kind of nice while you're going through that to record it, and then you can have that audio for later as well.
Absolutely. Getting to hear someone's voice is so interesting. And then also, because we all have old home videos, and as you go through, as you listen to older relatives, a lot of times you pick up on just voice mannerisms that you or your siblings may have picked up. So getting to have like a record of that for your older relatives would be amazing. So yeah, that's absolutely something that you should do. But yeah, even it would also be very interesting to do that, to do a virtual tour of their home and
Yes.
of their property and things. If they are a if they have any interest in gardening or any like interior design, decorating, if they have fun collections of things, um, how awesome would it be to have a video recording of your grandparents talking about their collection of things that they've picked up on their travels, or just small things that they just, you notice that they seem to have a lot of, and ask them about it and have them tell you, and then have that recording for later. That would be so cool.
Definitely, yeah. That actually reminds me, I've been going through some of the DVDs that we have in the archive, and we have one that it was a documentary somebody recorded. I think they recorded it in the 70s. I can't actually remember the date, but they went to the Sea Islands and they were speaking with the residents there who have lived there for just a long time. And they were going through and recording just shots of houses and just people living in their houses. And it's just very fascinating to see that time period and just that area of South Carolina on the coast. So I can only imagine how much more significant that would be to you if that was your own family in their own home and you had that video footage, because it's really fascinating to see it, even people that we don't know. So I think that's a good idea too, to go ahead and record just like you said, the house or the garden or collections or anything like that. That's going to be really significant, I feel like, later on.
Yeah. Or even if they have a particular, especially, thinking we're just coming off of the holidays. If your family has a particular dish where everybody says it's not Christmas unless we have the cranberry sauce that Aunt
Yes.
Becky makes, if you could film them making that. So you don't just have the recipe, but you actually get to watch them and their process and how they make it. And that's what makes it special. So having that saved for later would be wonderful.
Yeah, I agree.
But yeah, so absolutely anything you can think of to ask an older relative, find out what they're most comfortable with. If you want to do it in one afternoon session, or if you say, hey, I'm going to come by over the next few Saturdays, if you have that capability, come by over the next few Saturdays and let's talk about this. If you don't live in the same area, but they're tech savvy, then you could even do it virtually, and record that video chat, or however the format may be. You could email back and forth, or you could write letters back and forth. That would be fun too, and then you get handwriting.
Yes.
So that might be fun. So there's lots of different ways to do it. Even if you don't live nearby, there's lots of ways to talk to your older relatives and find out more about them and their lives.
Awesome. I think that's really good places to start.
So yeah, one thing I wanted to ask you about is one of the resources that we have a lot of, but a lot of people don't know about, and that is our vertical file collection.
Yes. So our vertical file collection is made up of filing cabinets that we maintain in our archive workroom. And what it is, it's newspaper clippings from, I don't know when do you think the earliest clippings would be from?
I've seen clippings as early as the 30s.
Nice. Okay. So they are newspaper clippings that we've maintained from at least the 1930s about particular subjects or particular people. And we have so many of them back there, and they're very well organized. So what it is, if you're interested in researching a particular person or a particular subject matter, you would come to us, and then we would be able to pull those files. And what you would get would be a folder, and inside the folder would be newspaper clippings that we have collected relevant to that subject or person. And the reason that a lot of people don't know that we actually have those is because we don't have the vertical files listed in our catalog, because there are just so many of them. And the subjects, we're adding to subjects, we're dividing down into minor subjects. So like we'll take a big subject and then kind of divide it out into smaller subject matters. So those are changing a lot. So it would be kind of hard to maintain that online in a searchable manner for patrons. We do have a file online for us. I can show that just to kind of give people an example of the kinds of subjects that we maintain vertical files for and the kinds of people that we maintain vertical files for. So if you think that would be beneficial, I can.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay, we'll do that then. All right, so this is our drive for the South Carolina room. Now, patrons don't have access to this. This is what we have access to, but I am showing it just so that our viewers can get an idea of the kinds of topics that we do maintain in our vertical files. So for example, this is our biography files. This is just the A's here. So you can see all of these names. We have files in the back of clippings for all of these individuals. And then we just have so many of them back there. So anybody doing family history research or even research on a biography of a particular person, definitely you can call us or you can come into the South Carolina room, ask us. We're more than happy to check these for you to see if we have some information about that particular person. So this is just the biographies. We do also have family files in the back, which are not just news clippings. The family files contain letters, all kinds of records from just that we have collected from family members. So sometimes someone will come in and donate records from a family. So we do maintain those as well. So that is shown here in our family files. So this will be like a family last name. And then we would go back in the back and pull those files for you if you're looking for a particular family name. And then we do also have the subject files, which these are actually my favorite. When I first started working in the South Carolina room, I spent a lot of time going through these, researching particular subjects I was interested in. So like, for example, waste treatment or like the landfills associated with our area, our region of South Carolina. I was just reading these because I was just very interested to learn about those processes, what we do with waste and things like that. So this is subject files. You can see we have like art galleries and museums, awards, and then you can see the like, awards would be the major subject, and then we can divide it down even further to agricultural awards, family awards. We have church files. So we have churches, and then you would go into Baptist or Episcopal or Lutheran, Methodist, and then it can be even divided further into particular churches. There's just we have all kinds of subject matter in our vertical files. So even if you're in doubt that we might have it, I think it's best just to go ahead and ask us, and then we're definitely more than happy to pull those for you because we have been collecting them for a very long time and we do maintain them and they're very well organized. So we definitely want to get to use them as much as possible. So even if you're in doubt, just go ahead and ask us and we're more than happy to take a look and see what we have.
Yeah, that's fantastic. There's so many things, and I've only been working in the South Carolina room for about 3 months now. And the number of files that I have seen just run the gambit, everything from agriculture to zoos, historic sites, histories of area communities and cities and towns. We have files for almost everything. And it's really amazing. So if there's anything that you have a question about, for local history or for genealogy in the area, you can always ask us, hey, do you have a vertical file for a particular subject or person? And we would be more than happy to look that up for you. If you need to contact us with a question, you can always call us at the main library, or you can email us at scroominfo@greenvillelibrary.org. And we would be happy to answer your email. We check on that multiple times a day. We can get back to you on that. If it's not possible for you to visit, we also have the option where we can scan a certain number of pages from a file for you. So if you can't make the trip downtown, then if you know of a particular subject, check with us and we might be able to get that scanned for you.
Definitely, yeah.
Yeah, and another collection that that folks use all the time, but some people may not know that we have, is our yearbook collection. So in our archive, we do have a very extensive collection of yearbooks that patrons have donated over time. And I know we were looking at the numbers of how many schools we have represented today. So how many was that?
In our catalog, we had 109, which is very surprising. It's quite a bit. It's exciting. And patrons, you can actually access this information from home. So unlike the vertical files, you would be able to look and see which yearbooks we have from home. So we will show you how to do that now. Ashley actually found a nice little trick to be able to do this from home. Let's see. Here we go. All right, so what you will do is go to our website, the greenvillelibrary.org, and this is our home page. And so on the search bar here, right next to our logo, this is actually going to do a catalog search. And so as you can see earlier, I was searching for just yearbooks, but Ashley found a better way to do this that will limit it to yearbooks in our collection here. So what you would do, let's see. Okay, so we're going to search Archive SC, and we're actually going to use the call number for our yearbooks, and that's going to really help the system pull out the yearbooks that we have. And so Ashley found that our call number for this is 371.805, and I've just typed in Archive SC 371.805, and then we're going to do a search for this. Okay, and this, as we can see here, has brought up 109 hits for our search here. So if we wanted to further limit our search, if you're ever looking for something specifically in the South Carolina room and you want to exclude any search results from other libraries, you can go to collection here on this left side of the screen and select just the South Carolina room collection box. That's going to pull up just the things we have in our room. Right now though, it's just pulling up things in the South Carolina room because we did type Archive SC in our search. So that was a way to limit it from the beginning, but just so you know, in the future, if you do want to kind of limit your results, you can use the refine by option here on the left. And so here we can see all of the different yearbooks that we have in the South Carolina room. We do keep these in the archive. So if you were interested in looking at any of these, you can come to us at the desk. You can call ahead. We're more than happy to go pull those for you from the archive. We keep them back there so that we can try and maintain them for as long as possible and keep them in the best condition that they could possibly be in for as long as possible. But it's not a problem at all for us to pull these for you. And yes, so you can definitely search these at home and see if a particular yearbook you're interested in looking for is available in our collection.
Yeah, and if you don't know the name of the yearbook, that is okay. We keep a list at the desk that we can search, and we can search it by the school's name. So that's another way that we can locate that for you. So if you don't know the obscure name of a yearbook from 1923, that's okay. If you know the school's name, we can still check on it for you. And some of those yearbooks, some of the older ones, we also have digitized. So I'm going to see if I can get that pulled up in our digital collection, which is a fascinating group of things. Our digital archivist has added so many things to that, and we're adding more every day. So let me get that ready. All right, so if you are on greenvillelibrary.org and under learning and research, you would go to view historic images, and this is our digital collection. So as you can see, we have a number of things, a lot of photographs, documents, correspondence. And one example of a digitized yearbook is the Chicora College yearbook. So this is from the Women's College that was in Greenville from in the early 1900s. So we have a small collection of yearbooks from them. So we have 1901, 2, 4, 11, 12, 13, and 14. So you would select which year you wanted to look at, and then you can see on the right, it has all of the pages listed here. So you would be able to look at that. And so this is like the table of contents. And then you could scroll down and see item description and more information about that. And as you can see here, we have a lovely example of a photo in this in this particular yearbook. And it has the name of everybody who was associated in the creation of this yearbook. And as you go through the yearbook, it would of course have more pictures of individuals, as well as these early yearbooks often have things that they wrote specifically for the yearbook. So short stories and poems and essays about the school and their time there. So it is just a fascinating collection that you can look through on our website from home. So yeah, that is one of the very cool things that we have available online. So yeah, let's see. I think that is about all that we have time to cover today. Hillary, did you have any final comments on vertical files or yearbooks, or talking to relatives about family history?
Well, I think that we covered a lot of really good points today. If I was going to say anything to finish it off, I would just like to say that to any of our patrons or even people outside of the Greenville County Library, if you have any questions at all, if you're ever in doubt if we might have a resource or not, just definitely reach out to us. We love helping. We're definitely here to help. So don't ever hesitate to contact us by phone or by email or just by stopping in with any of your questions. We'll try and help you as best we can.
Yeah, all right. Well, thank you so much, Hillary, and we will see y'all next time. If you can't wait until our next genealogy drop-in in March, I highly recommend that you register for our next Family History Club virtual program, which is on the 1950 census, which is getting released in April. So we are doing a program ahead of that on February 24th from 4 to 5 p.m. On preparing for the release of the 1950 census. So it's going to be very informative and a very interesting program. So we'll see y'all next time.
Bye.